Hello, everybody. I'm off work. Sorry for the late start. I had to stop by the corner store on the way home to grab some anti bullshit juices.
Anti bullshit juices.
I just got done explaining to my guest, my friend here. I have long been over talking about Vaush. I just don't care about this stuff anymore. So I just, my patience for it is so thin now. I would rather talk about other stuff. The reason why I'm doing this today is because Chemical Mind has been producing some very good content, and he's been kind of carrying the torch, so to speak, in my absence. And I wanted to shout out your channel. I wanted to shine attention on your channel because you're producing a lot of very good socialist content, and I think you're deserving of the spotlight because you're continuing the message. And with that being said, how are you doing this evening?
I am doing good. Yeah, I am sick of the guy too after having spent literally hundreds of hours, watching him talk, researching about him, reading about him. But I didn't even think he was ever going to watch the video, but he did. And I thought about whether I would respond or not, but I know the video is like rock solid, and I know he's a dishonest fucking piece of shit who is going to lie and probably obfuscate and all this shit. So I think watching the video and just pointing out how I'm sure he's going to just completely lie about so many of the things I say would be worth, pointing this kind of shit out, because that's what he does. That's who he is. And it's worth not just ignoring the guy, which is what a lot of people, actual leftists, want to do, is to just pretend he doesn't exist. But no. I think that's not the right strategy.
No.
Just ignore him completely. There's a responsibility to hit back to some extent.
You unfortunately can't ignore a person like Vaush, Fash. You can't ignore a person like Fash because he isn't just a bad takes factory. He's a bad takes factory with a social media clout. And he's a person that when people Google leftism, or when they start looking into this shit for real, some of them are going to be sent in his direction. And that's a problem, because it's people like him who distort and pollute the message that are one of the biggest problems in the movement. And this is something that we as Marxists have had to combat for literally the last 200 years, are people that pollute and distort and water down the message, people that just basically transmute what should be leftism into liberalism. And that's the point. The funny thing about Vaush is, like, if the Russian Civil War, if he were alive during the Russian Civil War and he were Russian, I 100% promise all of y'all here that he would be a white guardist. Like, straight up. He would condemn the Bolsheviks as authoritarian. He would say they're authoritarian. He would decry Lenin a dictator. And I promise you, he would be on the side of Kautsky and Bernstein and the rest of the revisionists in their condemnation. He would have been one of the socialists against socialism. And I know this because these people have existed for literally hundreds of years. Yeah. They've existed for hundreds of years. So the thing is about Vaush, we're not going to spend the next 3.5 hours dissecting every single tiny.
No, I don't want to dissect everything.
We're not going to do that. I promise you have my word, we're not going to do that. Vaush, because for one, he doesn't have the respect to give you a scripted response back. So why should we give him the respect of another scripted response? Let's just respond live. That's the first thing. And the second thing is nobody here has the attention span to sit through his bullshit for that long anyways. So he skips around. Apparently he didn't skip around. That's what you told me off screen. And so we're just going to go through it, and we're going to go through probably like the first 30% of it. We probably will skip around here and there, not respond to everything, but like the most poignant of points.
We could also just potentially maybe do it in 1.25 speed and 1.5 speed. I think the funny thing is the reason he watched the video all the way through is I say near the beginning of the video how this is something he does, where he skips through videos that he watches. So when I said that, he's like, "Oh shit! Well, I'll look bad if I."
He probably did that because he realizes you called him out on it. That's honestly a really good point. It's funny because he does that all the fucking time. Because I made my video a year ago, how Vaush manipulates you. And he did exactly that. He skipped over all the most poignant points, and then he went to like one segment on outright lies, and he still got fucking caught. He still got fucking caught saying some bullshit.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember how he spinned or distorted it on the spot. Like literally all he does is like just spin shit and and rely on distortions and the ignorance of his audience in order to debunk his detractors. It's fucking pathetic.
Yeah. Let's get into it and just see how it goes, because I'm eager to see.
We will, but do you have a link to it?
Yeah, I can bring one up.
Yeah, send me a link to it.
All right, I'll post it in the chat.
Yeah, post it in the chat, in the private chat. So
I posted in the public chat, whatever.
Yeah, that works too. But I was just gonna ask you, like, so you started off watching this guy, and then what? And you said my debate with him was like the real eureka moment. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, there was a few. There was actually, it's deprogramming is not an instant process, is what I learned personally. It's not something where there's like one eureka moment, really. Actually, it's like it's a gradual process. It went from me like thinking Vaush was amazing, and then sort of like, okay, this guy, I really love this guy, but he has some weird things, and it was a very gradual thing of me kind of trying to fight my desire to like him more and more, because I wanted to like him because he was someone who I would, the very parasocial thing, you grow connected almost to these people. And when you're in the bubble of being a fan, that you kind of just get drawn in. So it was a really gradual process. But your video was very helpful in terms of just like, I watched it the first time and I wasn't that impressed. And that's the thing. When you're a Vaush fan, nothing impresses you. Like you can destroy the guy no matter how hard you want. And it's just like, But I found the debate interesting. I would say like, it was like, like, I feel like FT made some good points or whatever. And then I watched the debate the second time, and that was when I was like, okay, Vaush looks pretty damn bad here. And then that was sort of the catalyst for me to watch other people who criticize Vaush, mainly Bad Empanada, as you mentioned before the stream. Like, he's made a ton of videos.
Bad Empanada is straight up like the anti-Vaush watch at this point.
He's pretty much the main reason I like became far more left, is because he was pointing out the fucked up things that guy says and stuff over and over again.
And I fucking love it too. I love how he is like a permanent thorn in his side. A permanent thorn which Vaush and his community have no ability to address. Like, I'm telling you right now, all they can do is call him crazy. All they can do is like pull up this shit. That's what he does. He just calls all of his detractors crazy. They're all just crazy. And I mean, for one, that's kind of like ableist if you think about it. So let me get this straight. Mentally ill people can never be right. They can never arrive at correct decisions or conclusions. They're just automatically wrong. We shouldn't just listen to anything mentally ill people say. And for two, I mean, it's just obviously fucking patently false too. Like, everybody that criticizes you is crazy. It's like typical narcissistic behavior. The problem is with everybody else except me. Everybody, the hundreds of people that take issue with me, they're not the real issue. I'm right about everything. They're all wrong. But anyways, let's see what we got here. I'm glad that reason prevailed, and I'm very glad because now we have another illustrious up and coming YouTuber who produces some very wonderful contents. And so I think that it was for the best that you fell out of the loop with the whole rad lip sphere. But anywho.
Yeah, put the video maybe on 1.5 speed and see if that is okay.
I'll do 1 1/4 just because like I don't want to miss anything. I mean, we could do this in 2 parts, one for now and then part 2 during the day. I'll try to make it as far as I can, but honestly, I just fucking hate this guy. I don't know what else to say.
clearing up the links that I got while I was live streaming, and apparently some former fan of mine released a video called Vaush's Lies Exposed, Confessions of a Former Fan. It is 45 minutes long. It seems like quite an investment. I don't know if I want to watch all of this, but I guess if my, if this epically owns me and my channel is done, I guess I should probably find out.
I hate to cut it this early on, but unfortunately, this is not going to be the last we see of him. If we have all these people with like active like rape allegations against the likes of like Donald Trump, and you have like all these conspiracies like Jeffrey Epstein, all the people that flew the Lolita Express, you have all these wealthy, influential people who will never answer for their crimes, for the fucked up shit that they did. Like, this guy shouldn't be telling anybody about consent with the shit he's out here doing. But my point being here is that someone like him will never answer or be accountable for his actions under the current economic system whatsoever. There is no accountability. Like, look what happened to Epstein. Like, so with somebody like him, he's always going to have his established platform unless there's a conscious, deliberate, systematic effort to remove people like him. It's never going to change. So, which is why I think it's very laughable that he says something like that. That's all.
Tanky video. It's really bad. How do you guys always know this before me?
Oh man, 32 seconds in, already calls me a tanky. Beautiful. All right, keep it going.
Hey, this came out yesterday. You guys just...
You're not getting reverb, are you? Just making sure.
No.
All right.
Like have Google alerts for any time a YouTube video from someone who isn't me uploads a video with me in the title? Yes? Okay. I'll listen.
And keep in mind, he's reacting to this because it's content. Your blood is content. That is the reason why he's reacting to this. It's
I had a commenter once who said in my chat or in my comments, he said, "Are you going to be the next lolcow?" And that was the comment that really stuck with me. Lolcow is like some Twitch lingo that means like the person everyone laughs at for the week or whatever. And I tried to make this thoughtful, detailed video talking about, Marxism, Leninism, and socialism and all this. And to this person, I was just like a fucking spectacle. I was just something to laugh at. And that's what really hit me hard is that a lot of these people, it's just theater. That's all it is.
Yeah, they don't take politics seriously. None of these people do. The people that are the most deeply invested with Vaush are people that are not hungry. These are not people that have to worry about bills. The people that are paying this motherfucker $200, they're donating $50, $100, $200 donations to this motherfucker. These people are not hungry. They are not struggling working people. These are middle-class white suburbanites. These are like the prime demographic of people like COINTELPRO operative Kaczynski. Because, these people don't take politics seriously at all. And I know this because I have a family member who is just fucking like this. I mean, not just fucking like this, but you know what I mean. It's all about the optics. It's all about the spectacle. It's not actual politics. It's a fandom. It's entertainment, basically.
Yeah.
Listen to 5. Okay, I'll listen to 5 minutes. They think Tanky is a slur. Wait, is this fellow traveler? Isn't this the pencils guy? Isn't this the guy 2 years ago who was screeching, "You'll be selling pencils out of
Skip this shit." Like
the Joker. He's the Joker guy. Yeah.
So thank you for continuing to vindicate my point. Here, you have him attacking the aesthetics. Like, there is no argument here. Forget all arguments. There is no argument here. It is the aesthetic of an argument, the appearance of an argument. That, haha, I laughed at you guys. You want to know? Do you know why I laughed at him during that debate? Right. The reason why I laughed at him was because I was asking him a fucking question about Marxism. I was asking him basic economic definitions that he could not answer. I asked him.
Yeah, and if you go into his video on his channel about that debate, it is pathetic. Literally 80% of the comments on that video is just about you laughing at that one point in the debate. Nothing about the actual substance of the debate. They're so focused on you doing a weird laugh or whatever, and not at all on the incredible amount of times Vaush embarrasses himself.
Yeah, and just demonstrates and exposes his own ass about not knowing anything. Here's the messed up thing about all of this is that, shoot, I had a point, but it slipped my mind. I apologize. But basically, he again, it comes down to not an argument, but the aesthetic of an argument. Guys, you want to know what he does during all of these debates? He antagonizes his guest. He'll invite guests on, people that are going to quote unquote debate him, and he'll antagonize them. He'll do everything in his power to get this person emotionally worked up and riled up. And he'll deliberately try to piss this person off. And I even called him out on this, like mid-debate. Like, why are you trying to like deliberately piss me off? Because he's trying to gauge and he's trying to get a reaction out of you. Because if he can get a reaction out of you, he can get you to act foolish, or he can get you to lash out. He can get you to act out emotionally in response. And then he can be like, oh, whoa, look how crazy this person is. And unfortunately, I fell for it because he's still honing in on the whole me laughing pencil Joker tanky bullshit.
You think Stalin was a bad guy? You haven't seen anything. Yeah, that guy's nuts. Yeah, he's pretty mentally. Yeah.
You just
Anyway,
cannot call people mentally ill. It's pathetic and disgusting.
Yeah, it also
it's
kind
so
of
disgusting.
Isn't this guy supposed to be on the spectrum? Okay, so like I'm on the spectrum, right?
And
Like,
his fans will literally be like he's neurodivergent, like for when he, you know.
Yeah. Like they'll make fucking excuses for this guy, saying, "Oh, he's neurodivergent," and then they'll turn around.
And then he
like,
always makes fun of people being mentally ill. Like,
Thank
it's
you,
amazing.
Yeah, like speaking as someone who actually is neurodivergent, like ADD, ADHD, Asperger's syndrome, I've been diagnosed with all these things. I'm on the spectrum. It's very funny to me that he'll use this as an excuse to deflect like criticism and absolve himself of responsibility while attacking his detractors for the exact same thing. It's very fun. It's a very fun ableist responsibility skirting package wrapped up all together. It's very interesting. Whatever, fuck this guy.
just give me 5.
Vaush is a self-identified socialist political streamer who is a pretty controversial figure online. In answer to this controversy, Vaush's fans and Vaush himself have in turn taken to calling the criticisms of Vaush derangement syndrome, or VDS for short. Countless videos have been made criticizing Vaush at this point. But I think I have a bit of a different perspective on the issue of Vaush compared to these other videos, because I used to be a huge Vaush fan myself. For a period of around 4 to 5 months, I watched most of the videos he released on YouTube basically every single day. Before school, after school, wherever, I listened to his
but did you donate?
life takes, his political takes, and yes, his...
Did you donate? That is the question. Please tell me you didn't donate.
No, I didn't. No.
Thank you. At least you didn't make this asshole even richer. Lord knows this delusional, out-of-touch millionaire does not need more money.
His media takes. I even watched a good half or so of his 5-hour-long rankings of Dark Souls bosses. What I'm trying to communicate is how much I...
Wait, the 5-hour-long ranking of Dark Souls bosses came out recently-ish. I debated him 2 years ago. Did he become a tanky and then stop and then be a fan of mine and now he's a tanky again? Or is he just completely lying about being a fan of mine?
What a fucking piece of shit. Oh, he's already just fucking... Oh my god. Dude, I found the video a long time after you did the debate.
We debated a year ago. It wasn't even 2 years ago. It was last year. What the fuck is he talking about?
Already just fucking just... Oh my god. Go ahead.
This isn't Fellow Traveler? Wait, this isn't Fellow Traveler? I just assumed it was under a different YouTube name. Oh, okay, guys. Okay, never mind. It's a different guy. It's a different guy. Someone in chat said it was
the guy doesn't even know what's going on.
Opinions. I never incorrectly adored the guy. I wasn't one of the fans that seemingly spent all day on the internet defending him, but for a good while, I thought he was pretty much without exception. The smart.
My left. What does that mean? I'm genuinely asking. I'm not being rhetorical. I don't know what it means to be more to the left. As far as I'm concerned, everything I do is in the pursuit of what I think is the best.
You already just skipped!
The fastest and most effective path possible. In my opinion, you know.
On a surface level.
So what was that you were saying before we started this, that apparently he didn't skip it all?
I was told he didn't skip. I think he's going to get to the point now where... I don't know. We'll see. Let's just keep going. Maybe we'll go back.
When you can't deal... I love how he confused you for me for a moment there. Like,
unbelievable.
We don't even sound anything alike. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, it's not entirely surprising that people do think so highly of...
Holy shit, my lighting setup sure has improved, huh? Oh my god. Look at that.
Wait, does this guy still have a painting of himself in the background?
Jesus Christ.
Vaush. Vaush's speech is articulate, his voice is strong,
full
commanding, and his politics do overall seem to be pretty progressive to those that aren't very educated when it comes to politics.
Yeah, the only thing that's worse is the chair. The chair's been torn apart. New light makes
Again, no substance, not responding to anything you're saying. He's talking about the chair. He's talking about none of this is an argument or a counter argument. It is the aesthetic of an argument.
look thinner. Losing 100 pounds will probably also do that.
Like I was. And the warning signs, like the fact that he openly admits that he's a lazy person,
By my nature, I'm a lazy person. I'm just work shy.
or the fact that he spends much of the time in his reactions to
That's
criticisms
true.
of him distractedly talking to chat or playing a video game, or
You know, it's kind of bizarre though, because I remember reading a comment under your video that someone says, "So someone who's lazy can't be a leftist," and I'm just thinking
That's not what I said at all. That's not my point at all. It's just that he treats himself as a huge authority. He
So let me-
portrays himself as like this huge authority, yet he like admits he's lazy, you know?
Yeah, and the most pathetic part about that is like, okay, so people like Lenin was writing books, writing entire books, and he wrote volumes. I mean, tomes. Lenin wrote extensively. If you actually go through his works, he wrote a fuck ton. That alone takes a substantial chunk out of your daily life, on top of organizing a revolution and running a fucking party and living a life of precarity where your life is constantly on the line at all times. Because remember, people have tried to kill this man. The stress of politics is literally what did him in the end. You got guys like Stalin working 14-hour shifts for 30 years straight. Guys like Mao who are marching, 5,000 miles on foot, leading guerrillas through the fucking mud and so on. You've got people that are completely devoting their lives to a cause when a more comfy option is available to them. Remember, for all these men, a comfy alternative existed for all of them. They too could have been just gone on to be mid-income workers. They could have been, they all had comfy lives cut out for all of them. But no, instead they chose a very brutal and arduous, precarious life where you're constantly on the run from capitalist governments. And so they took politics seriously. Vaush does not take politics seriously. This is the real world. People's lives are on the line. These people don't understand that. That's the main difference between us and the people who watch the stream. They don't take politics seriously. This is all TV for them. It's theatrics. And I think that's the main difference between us and them. Did you have anything to say before I continue? We're only 4 minutes in.
Yeah, let's try to speed through a bit more.
Oh no, we're doing that now. Oh, we're playing into this.
Fuck this piece of shit. I'm gonna skip ahead.
Wait, no. Okay.
You want to skip ahead? Yeah, fine.
I wanted to see how he responds to me saying he doesn't watch videos through. Let's
All
just
right,
see how
all
it's-
right, all right. Here.
distractedly talking to chat or playing a video game, or not.
Oh
even-
no, we're doing that now. Oh, we're playing into the stereotype. To be fair, a lot of criticisms of me are really bad. It gets pretty boring, but yeah. I do respect people who want to criticize me. That's fine. If you want to make a video, it's just they tend to be like
They're just all wrong, right? Like you can do no wrong. Every person that criticizes you is wrong, but
pretty bad criticisms.
watching most of the video, or the fact that he proudly seems to be basically all of his research straight from Wikipedia, are to many politically immature people seen not as warning signs, but as
That's not true. That being said, though, if you read up entirely on a wiki page, you are going to be more educated in that subject than 99.9% of people. Wiki pages tend to be pretty thorough, and then at the bottom you have the sources that these summaries on the page are pulled from.
So here's the issue with quoting Wikipedia pages when it comes to anything communism. 2 words: Robert Conquest.
Mhm.
You've got
Yeah.
guys like him. You've got guys like him that are literally taking sources from Nazis, literal Nazis, to vindicate all of their works. And they're treated as accredited, official, legitimate sources. And that's not just it. You've got Radio Free Europe. You've got Radio Free Asia. You have got these CIA-funded think tanks. You've got extremely biased historians. You've got the Holodomor genocide question, where the Wikipedia article, again, another thing, Bad and Panada does a solid job going through and dissecting. But my point is when it comes to shit like communism, you have to take what you read from a historical standpoint with a grain of salt, because a lot of the citations and a lot of the footnotes that are included are from very questionable sources on insufficient data, typically coming from literal Nazis and the CIA. That's not a conspiracy. I could literally pull up the article on fucking the purges, and I could literally find Robert Conquest being cited right there in the article. right fucking there. Like, I'm not kidding.
Yeah, I have a
We can look at
video
those
talking about this. I have a video on my channel that talks literally exactly about this.
Yeah, but no.
Because they have PhDs, like in history, so they fit in terms of Wikipedia's rules of who you can cite. But just because they have a PhD in history, that does not mean they are actually good historians or trustworthy historians.
Yeah, no, and like, this is the thing when it comes to credibility and ethos and all that. You are allowed to be questionable of historians. You were allowed to question mainstream narratives on history. Bear in mind that, like, the ruling class owns the media. They own all the avenues by which we receive information. So of course they are going to present this sort of information in an inherently jaded liberal light. And that's something we got to keep in mind when going to public resources like the Wikipedia, which, mind you, many of those articles are written by literal federal agents. None of this is a conspiracy. None of it is. Just saying.
I mean, here we're taking a look at Thomas Sankara. While looking over Thomas Sankara, didn't I literally do an hour and 20-minute deep dive where I tried to find like original scans of a print of the teachers union's intentions from Burkina Faso back in like 1989 or something? We were like trying
What does
to
that
like
have to do with the price of rice in China, my friend?
translate shit out of French to try to find an answer to one. Yeah, like we ended. Yeah, that was from this stream, man. I was pretty proud of that. I feel like we engaged in a pretty high level of. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
never
but he
mind.
misses the point. The point is that he is co-opting the rhetoric and aesthetic of these people and basically watering down their radicalism and removing the true nature of their message from the font and the ethos that he displays. That's the point that you were trying to display in the video. And he's busy getting caught up on, oh, well, didn't I try to figure out, try to find like original translations from Thomas Sankara's document? Like, dude, fuck you. It's just a complete diversion from the point you were trying to make.
Touch pretzels.
Deacons. No one could be this impossibly confident in themselves unless they were really right about almost everything, right? This incredible confidence makes him such an attractive person to so many politically unsure, vaguely left-leaning people as I was.
Look at him flex.
But
Look at him
what
flex.
specifically is the harm with Vaush then? Are Vaush's critics from the left really the ones with VDS? And why does yet another video about this guy really need to be made? Well, the thing is, I want to actually talk about something broader than just Vaush. And to get an idea of what I mean, let's start by watching Vaush's video. This is how I want to build socialism.
Oh,
I won't
like
dive
it.
into the entire...
That's an old. I should redo that video, by the way. Now that I've lost weight, changed my hair, lost the keloids, fixed my lighting setup, etc., etc. We should redo that video.
25-minute video.
What, so you can just tell people to vote Democrat again?
Long story short, Vaush's main argument for how to achieve socialism is by building support for left-leaning politicians by voting for them, so that these politicians can begin to make socialist positions more popular, so that when a revolution that he believes is apparently inevitable comes thanks to climate change, enough people will support leftist politics to make a successful revolution possible.
Wait, that's an unfair summary of what I said. I talk about how I don't think the revolutionary conditions in America are yet like even remotely ripe for socialist revolution. And the best thing you can do is like actively promote class consciousness, so that
Which you don't do. Like, am I going crazy?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I watched the video he made, and that is literally his argument. Is he says vote for, put people like AOC in power. Anyways, let's see what.
Yeah, but AOC sold out. The squad sold out. They're voting for the military-industrial complex now. So how's supporting the Democrats now, jamming children in cages? And look at what this guy does, too. Apologizing for that and rooting for the war crimes admitted from the Biden administration, Mr. Vaush. We should have stayed in Afghanistan longer, right? We should starve the Russians. Never forget that this guy said that we should literally put sanctions, like genocidal sanctions, and starve the Russians out. Literally starve Russians. Never forget that this guy said this. Like seriously. And he wants to say like, oh, well, we can push them left, guys, when they're actually pulling you right in practice.
And he's talking about class consciousness. When does he ever talk about class consciousness? When does he ever talk about the proletariat? I mean, if you go on his YouTube channel and you just look at his videos, it's like Ben Shapiro, Elon Musk, Donald Trump. He just does a lot of drama stuff. He does a lot of like reacting to right wingers. He's not talking about class consciousness or, you know, yeah, it's bizarre.
He doesn't have the he doesn't he'll go after low-hanging fruit. Like, he'll criticize right-wingers all the time. And don't get me wrong, that's great. But by virtue of criticizing other right-wingers does not absolve you from being a right-winger. That's the thing. Because
yeah, I mean, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, all I was going to say is never forget that this is the guy who called self-determination a dog whistle and compared people like Professor Flowers to like the Nazis, and said that like all this virtue signaling about the crimes and the evils of ethno-nationalism, how ethno-nationalism is the evilest of all evils, just for him to, you know, he sends his audience to harass this woman, a woman of color, for months, just to turn around and platform a Zionist ethno-nationalist out of spite so that he can get back at Bad and Panada.
Yeah, that was a big thing. That was actually one of the biggest things when I watched that. I was like, what? But yeah, I mean, again, just if you go on his channel right now, I'm looking at his channel right now. It's absolutely hilarious. It's literally just Ben Shapiro, Elon Musk, Hunter Biden, Hassan, Ben Shapiro, Elon Musk, Marjorie Taylor Greene. None of this is leftist or like socialist. It's just lib, like, drama reaction content.
Here, we'll take a look at his channel right now. And you're not wrong. Andrew Callaghan, again, the man who doesn't know how to respect consent, lecturing other people on consent. More on Andrew Callaghan. I mean, yeah, no, pretty much. Andrew Tate. Well, yeah, it pretty much comes down to, oh, Elon Musk. You are, I mean, you're not wrong. Speed run. He's not talking about class consciousness at all. Like, I mean, I don't doubt like he makes valid criticism of these people, and he's got like some decent substance in terms of criticism. But the thing is like, this is not something that's hard to do. Taking the piss out of right wingers is not something that's hard to do at all. Like it's not really like it's not profound. He thinks he's doing us a public service by doing this, when really all it's just entertainment. It's entertainment. Like, it's literally like it's the equivalent. I mean, I think Bad and Panada put it best. It really is the equivalent of like anti-SJWs, but like for leftist content.
Yeah,
it really is.
Well,
like they'll put right-wing content, be like, oh, me no like, and you know, I'm not saying he doesn't make good points here and there, but I don't see how class consciousness is being elevated when you're like actively hostile to actual socialists and, you know, people that are for the liberation and the emancipation of working people and the self-determination.
Especially bizarre, again, is like he ran on, you know, getting Biden elected and pushing him left or whatever. He has not posted a video to his main channel about Biden helping to break the rail workers' strike. He did to his second channel, to Vaush Pit. But why would you not post something about such an important event as that?
That was
to your main channel. That is such a tell, dude. Like, that is such a fucking tell on you so hard. When you go to Vaush's stats on Social Blade and you see that his fucking subscribers, they jump up at one time of year, and the one time of year they jump up is right during election season, right?
Yeah.
Right?
So I'm glad you pointed it out, because that means he has a deeply vested interest in shilling for the Dems.
He absolutely does. There is no fucking excuse that he has not posted a video calling Biden out to his main channel. There is no excuse. It is disgusting and incredibly transparent. Like, it's like he's not even trying to hide how slimy and how scared of losing subscribers or income he is.
Yeah, because he's got an established business. That's really all this is at the end of the day. I mean, all the stuff that he says about being pro-LGBT rights, about being on the left and all this other jazz, it's all part of his brand. It's a business model. It's all part of his business. And that's something that a lot of these people who delude themselves into thinking that he's some sort of thought leader need to really reconcile and come to terms with. Because there are a lot of people who apparently think of this guy as an authority on socialism when he's really anything fucking but. I don't know, man. Let's just move on.
Those revolutionary conditions present themselves, they can be acted upon positively. I mean, I expand on that. I also talk like economically about the way in which I think worker cooperatives are a good way of sort of developing class consciousness without having to fundamentally retouch our global trade system, which we can't really do.
Yeah, cooperatives do exactly jack fuck against capitalism. Like, you're not really challenging power. You're just making a business that's friendlier to the workers. That's really all you're doing. You're not actually talking about organizing. You're not talking about repealing crucial legislation like right to work, which directly hampers and gets in the fucking way of people's ability to unionize. You're not talking about supporting a third party working class alternative. You're not actually talking about building socialism, like actual dual power. You don't ever go into this at all. Cooperatives are not fucking socialism. Like, straight up. They're not.
Do individually. Okay, well, whatever.
The problem is, if we look at history, any democratic attempts to establish a socialist government have throughout history been crushed. Just look at the lengths finance capital went to sabotage Bernie, who was really just a social democrat and not even a democratic socialist in both 2016 and
Okay, so he's not actually going to like show anything that I say from the video. He's just going to like broadly sum it up as Vaush.
Why? Why does he need to show clips from your video? I guess because apparently we can't just take his word for it. I mean, let's assume that let's assume that you do, right? Let's say you show clips. So then what? It's just an excuse for him to
If
just
I show the clips, they're just taken out of context. They're just
yeah, exactly. They're
So-
taken out of context. So even if he does show clips, you and your fans can just cope saying it's out of context. So what the fuck?
That you should vote.
Yeah.
Well, did you?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, voting doesn't work, idiot. And that's it.
2020. We also saw the Labour
No,
Party
that's not
deliberately
what I said.
sabotage its own candidate in Jeremy Corbyn to an even greater extent throughout his tenure as leader of the opposition. The closest to a successful democratic socialist attempt in history,
That's literally it. We're not actually getting. Can I say something? And
changes. You can't really, as it isn't, prevent an actual to ensure
There he is.
Oh my god. He's
As an act of-
okay,
skipping
here we
it.
go. I'm going to say something.
explicitly preventing revolution.
Frankly, I don't really want to implement leftist policies.
What was the point you were trying to make there? Just curious.
I honestly, I don't really fucking remember. I'm not even
Yeah.
sure.
Well, again, he doesn't give you the courtesy to actually like sit down and listen to what you have to say and digest and respond in kind. So I'm going to pay him that same service right now and skip ahead of it.
So I'm pretty sure I've talked.
Oh, right, here. I remember this. He's memeing here. Why, yes, I do oppose destructive American sanctions and also support Cubans demanding more from their Wow. Oh, my God. I totally forgot about this part.
Existing socialism, when used by anyone online, means they think that Soviet Russia and Mao's China are socialism. They probably think that Deng's China is.
Video. And the reason Vaush doesn't actually go into what he would envision a post-revolution society to be is because, I would argue, he's
Let's see his
unserious about
response.
imagining any form of actually existing
What's up?
Nothing. I just want to see his response. Yeah, we'll see.
socialism in the first place.
The term actual existing socialism, when used by anyone online, means they think that Soviet Russia and Mao's China are socialism. They probably think that Deng's China is socialism.
Oh, look at it. Okay, so yeah, now he's just conflating the
Yeah.
two. When there are serious disagreements between people on complex discussions, just truncated. Well, yeah, they're exactly the thing. They think the exact same thing. Again, like none of this comes down to actually like addressing the inner workings of political economy. It doesn't matter. It's just I don't like the aesthetics of it. I don't like the optics of it. I remember like he brought up like the Egyptians were socialists. I say, so now we're talking about slave economies. He's like, the Soviets had gulags. What I should have said in that moment was, so does fucking America. We use prison labor. The anarchists in Catalonia utilize prison labor. Does that mean that anarchist Catalonia was not socialist? And does that mean, like, penal labor does not nullify the economic mode of a country? I remember that vividly. I'm willing to bet he doesn't address this part at all, like right here. Again, it just goes back. He's so good at this, and I'm already falling for it right now, getting his audience caught up on irrelevant bullshit.
Also, I'm pretty sure I've talked about post-revolutionary conditions before. It's just I don't like to waste my time jerking off about like, here's my future Victoria, Hearts of Iron, Stellaris bullshit. Let me reinvent all society in my head to tell you what it would look good as. I like to talk about what's happening.
This picture is a perfect summation of Vaush's lack of any rigor when it comes to his understanding of actually existing socialist experiments and researching in general.
Why, yes, I do oppose destructive American sanctions and also support Cubans demanding more of their government. How could you tell? No, people in non-Western countries can't hold protests. That's literally CIA or CIA. So this was the Cuban government mishandled a lot of COVID stuff, and people were upset with the behavior.
Mishandling COVID stuff is when you literally can't import medication into your fucking country. Got it.
If you're the government. So there were protests against the government in Cuba like a year ago, and a bunch of Western lefties were screeching that the protests against the Cuban government were all like CIA color revolutionaries. And there was no, and actually, real lovers of Cuba would never protest against it because that's what democracy means, right?
Yeah. So this is really frustrating too, because nobody's saying that every single person that was protesting the Cuban government was CIA. What they were saying was that the CIA has a heavy hand in organizing color revolutions and organizing these protests. And they are heavily involved when these sort of protests and these sort of grievances do arise, because they are trying to manufacture consent for the overthrow of the Cuban government. Something that a supposed leftist should fucking know. Because this is what they do all the time. And he's casting doubt on that. He's casting doubt on the notion that the CIA has deeply vested hands in it by just simply implying, well, no, the protests were legit and there were legit people in there. Who fucking cares if there were legit people in there? The fact of the matter is that, yeah, the CIA's hands were involved in it as well, and you're not going to comment on the massive counter-protesting that took place in the country as well, because there was plenty of that, if you guys remember.
Right, when you can't protest the government.
Notice how, according to the timestamp of the tweets, Vaush asked for research about Cuba, then spent less than an hour, it could have been as little as literally a couple minutes, actually researching the issue, before then tweeting out the absolute gold standard blue dog Democrat Nancy Pelosi talking point of how the embargo is bad, yes, but what about the poor people not getting enough from their government?
Yeah, it's concern trolling for regime
I
change.
cannot wait to see how he responds to this.
Yeah,
I'm very excited.
How does he deal with the fact that he was literally concern trolling for regime change?
Nancy Pelosi wants to remove the embargo to Cuba?
He's
Also,
not going to
yeah,
address
okay.
it. He's not going to address the fact that he, according to the timestamps, he literally spent less than an hour before he fucking said that. Oh my god.
Damn, I guess Nancy Pelosi taking the dub on that one. Yes, I do think the embargoes are bad, but also think the people should be able to protest their government. Okay. I didn't know Nancy Pelosi was such a firebrand of revolutionary sentiment.
Now, to be fair, Vaush's video on the topic...
That's...
What? Holy shit, this guy is a fucking moron. Oh my god. Do you see why I had to down a few beers before I decided to sit down to do this with you? I'm sorry, man.
Oh man. It's okay.
This is gonna be like 12 parts at this rate, because my holy shit.
Oh Jesus Christ.
All right. Yeah, but no, he notice though, he totally skips over what you said.
He doesn't address the fact that he literally spent no time before he just said that. Let's see how he responds to this. I'm curious.
Yeah, notice though, it's all deflection. He doesn't actually he has engaged very little with anything you have ever said over the course of this video. None of these are counter arguments. Notice, guys, these are not arguments. These are an aesthetic of an argument. They are the appearance of an argument, but they're not actual arguments. They're distortions. They are deflections. This is peak sophistry. He's just relying on the fucking emotional heartstrings of his audience to just be take his word for it, basically.
Literally, not actually going to explain how the take is wrong.
I am, you dumbass. I'm just about to. All right, go ahead.
Terrible. It's a somewhat fair analysis in many ways, but he still does the same approach of criticizing Cuba's methods without actually in any way analyzing why a state like Cuba might function the way it does in the first place.
Wait, is this mother literally going, this guy criticized the bad behavior of the Cuban government without considering that they might have wanted to behave bad? Wait, what?
No.
What?
Oh, poor people in Cuba protesting. Have you stopped to consider that maybe... What is the argument? I don't know. I don't know what any of these mean, man. I hate tankies. It's just another I don't know, branch of fascism. This person's probably pretty young, right? They said they watch videos of mine before and after school. I mean, the oldest they can be is 19.
This is so fucking funny. I had a few people in my comments saying that too, like, "Oh man, you're still in high school. You'll fucking like you'll grow out of it."
His
I was
entire
getting my master's degree. I was not in high school. I was watching Vaush while getting my master's degree. So
his entire
no, I'm not.
ethos, his entire audience is underage. So like, who is he
Yeah.
to say you're too young? It's just
Yeah.
again, it's just a way for him to discredit you. Notice it's like attacking your ethos more than anything else. But the really sad and pathetic part about all of this is like, oh, have I considered that they wanted to be bad? No, it has nothing to do with want. It has to do with conditions. The Cuban government is in a very siege-like precarious condition fighting to survive, and you just don't want to understand it. He just doesn't want to understand it. Like that, like there's no other explanation. He does not want to understand because he does not like the optics of it. He does not like the aesthetics of it. For all this talk of aesthetics-oriented leftism, that's all he fucking is. It's pure projection.
Yeah, okay, fellow traveler helped out with the video. That is the crazy Joker tanky guy. Yeah. This consider this person to be in basically.
No, I fucking didn't. What the fuck are you talking about? You made this video of your own volition because of the way he has treated people like me.
Mm-hmm.
So like again, he's making these connections because he's trying to, for all this talk of conspiracy mongering, for us talking about Wikipedia, this is straight up conspiracy mongering because he has no fucking proof. We just have to take his word for it, right? Is this not conspiracy mongering?
The same position as a like 18-year-old fascist who got groomed in, you know?
If Vaush looked with clear eyes,
Excuse me, did he just
ignore
accuse
the
me of fucking
insults?
grooming you?
Oh, was that what he was trying to say?
He's like, oh, basically, this is just like the equivalent of an 18-year-old authoritarian fascist being groomed in. This guy of all fucking people,
Holy shit, dude.
anyone of grooming anybody, fucking.
my
Oh wow, they just throw that accusation around. Oh, you're a groomer. Oh. All right, I'm just gonna reference this. I'm busting out the big shots now. We're going to Bad Empanada's channel. All right, so everybody, anybody who thinks I'm a groomer, watch this. Watch this. You want to know what a real groomer is? Actually, we don't need to watch the video. We don't need to go through it. We just need to go through the Google document with evidence. So, do I sound like a groomer? Someone I don't even fucking know making videos talking about something, or does this look like it? So, you're not as bad or even incomplete person. Life is a constant struggle to adapt and improve. And he's saying this. I mean, I wish I was better to people. I mean, I enjoy your company anyway. I don't think you're bad people. I don't mean to sound overbearing. Well, I hope I can continue to be friends. So I am. Don't worry. But seriously, being abrasive doesn't make you a bad person. Also, let me know if you ever want to check out my dong. Here we go. Going down the list of groom behavior. Oh, he sends a what looks like a picture of his dick, but it's, I don't know. Supposedly that's not his dick, whatever. But he's sending pictures to people, and so this is the evidence for the grooming. All right. I'm gonna post it in the chat. I'm the fucking groomer, apparently. Here we go. Oh yeah, and he's invoking horseshoe theory again. 100%. 100%. I'm sorry, guys. I can't resist. So he is in no position to accuse anyone of fucking grooming when he's out here doing this shit. Anyways, my patience is very rapidly running.
I mean, the oldest they can be is
because like that was like straight up fucking slander. So go fuck yourself, like straight up.
Yeah,
that was straight up fucking slanderous.
Yeah,
So
I'm sorry about that. Jesus.
yeah, unironically, yeah, I feel like taking my hands and grabbing both of his ears and just driving my knee straight through his fucking face. But instead, I'm going to hit the continue button and watch this video.
Like 19. Oh, yeah, okay, fellow traveler helped out with the video. That is the crazy Joker tanky guy. Yeah. This consider this person to be in basically the same position as a like 18-year-old fascist who got groomed in, you know?
If Vaush looked with clear eyes at the history of the
Jesus.
What the does this have to do with anything? It's literally always like, okay, I'm
You're
not going to.
providing evidence for fucking U.S. backed CIA fuckery, and all he's doing is canceling. What the fuck?
He's like, what do he always does that too? It's like you show like evidence countering like his arguments and what he says, and then he just literally says, what does this have to do with anything? It's so relevant. It's directly relevant. Oh my god.
He just
Jesus
can't-
fucking Christ.
He can't deal with it. I really don't know what to say, but he can't fucking deal with any of it. He hasn't dealt with anything you've said. He hasn't responded to a single point in any of your videos. This entire thing so far has just been us responding to his fucking distortions.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
Directly contradict this point. However, you might have noticed that America is bad. Therefore, whatever he was
Oh
saying,
my
yeah, undarken your
God.
eyes.
Oh, America bad, America bad. Yeah, unironically, America fucking bad.
It's
Yeah.
more than just America bad, but he's like, he knows that's like a fucking like, you know, talking point. Like, oh, Marxists will just go say American bad to defend like authoritarian structures or whatever. It is directly relevant. It is very important to the point I'm trying to make. But he just reduces it to America bad, and then it's like, okay, there you go. I'm just a tanky.
Well, it just goes to show that he can't deal with it, though, because this is an objective fact that you're putting on fucking screen right before our very eyes. He can't deal with it, so he just shuts his ears and be like, "Oh yeah, America bad." Yeah, because all he can do is respond like that because he can't engage with it. He can't actually respond to anything you're fucking saying, so he has to attack the optics of it. That's the common theme here. And it just goes to show one of the reasons why he does this is because he identifies with the U.S. state apparatus. He identifies with the successful version of Nazi Germany, as I have deemed it. He identifies with imperialism and the imperialist state apparatus. He identifies with it. He clearly positively does, as evidenced by the fact that he fucking shills for the Democrats every 4 years. He's a fucking privileged ass upper class white guy. He's not fucking struggling. What makes you think a multi-millionaire streamer who's online for 12 hours a day is anybody to fucking comment on the conditions of the global proletariat? This dude's not qualified. Like, I'm just saying, like, none whatsoever. He's a fucking entertainer, and it wouldn't bother me if it wasn't for the facts that he was actively out here distorting reality and basically polluting the message and just distorting everything. He's just a pathological bullshitter. I don't really know what else to say. And you're going to hear me repeat myself every time he does this.
Clear your mind.
Imperialism in South America, he would know that in Cuba, before Batista, the winning candidate of Cuba's so-called elections was always a puppet of the US, just like in every so-called democracy in South America during the Cold War, and in many cases since then as well. If Fidel had simply turned Cuba into democracy as Americans conceive of it again, and completely let freedom of press and capitalist parties...
Keep in mind, this has nothing to do with what I said. The only thing I said is that the people of Cuba have a right to protest their government if they feel like...
Oh, all I was saying was that Cuban people have a right to protest their government, which has nothing to do with the point that he was trying to make, Vaush, and it has everything to do with the fact that you are trying to deflect from all the arguments that he's trying to make. That basically the CIA and like the United States has deeply vested fingers and hands all over these sort of protests because they're trying to manufacture consent for regime change, a fact which you are deliberately ignoring at this point.
Their government has failed them in some way, which is a very basic socialist belief. Yeah, Cuba's not even on this fucking list.
Exists.
It is
Funded fake newspapers
Wow.
and fake politicians, and those politicians would have gone on to win, and Cuba would have been turned more or less back into existence.
Why do so many lefty video essays take forever to say nothing? The real reason and the problem that this guy is running into, and the reason he needed help in this video, is that I'm right about everything. I'm generally pretty good at not making statements on a subject unless I feel like I could out-debate somebody if they challenge me on it, with the exception being media takes anything that I've ever said about science and also, like, anything that I have the right to correct within 5 seconds. But on stuff like this that I put any amount of thought into, like, I try to keep my
Like,
statements...
that's just a lie. He's just putting out a lie. I didn't help you with this at all. Just because
Yeah.
what you tagged me in the description.
Yeah,
he's just gonna
because all
assume-
you did was all you did was I asked for that one email, and that was it. Like you had no other involvement
I didn't
in this
help.
video.
I didn't help you edit the video. I didn't write the script for you. All I did was send you those screenshots, and that's it. And you tagged me in the description for it. So yeah, no, he's like straight up fucking lying. Like, yeah. Good night.
Is proportion to the knowledge that I have. The difficulty here is that because everything that I've said on the subject is unimpeachably correct, there's no real way to criticize it. So instead, what they do is they deliberately misinterpret the implications of what I'm saying, and then they go on to critique that. So I said,
Why else would you bring up the fact that people in Cuba are protesting their government? What other purpose could that serve other than to manufacture consent for regime change? Like, because that's what the U.S. media is saying. They're going to bring up the protesters, the poor protesters against the evil dictatorial government. What other purpose could you be bringing that up for other than to manufacture consent for regime change and to manufacture animosity towards the Cuban government for being authoritarian dictatorship, which you frequently rail against socialist countries and America's geopolitical rivals for being? You know?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
only
he
reason
always
you're bringing
talks
that up.
about he always talks about the authoritarian one-party democracies that aren't democracies. I am talking directly about electoral interference and how a socialist democracy might need to defend itself from foreign interference. It is directly addressing what he's talking about.
Yeah, all liberal democracy means is the ability to buy elections, the right to buy elections and literally buy the outcomes, because the person with the most money is the one that is going to win the election within the context of liberal democracy. And guess what? We got a thriving socialist democracy in Cuba, in North Korea, or in the other handful. I don't really know anybody else. I mean, China, to an extent. I do think there's a socialist sector in China, though it does not constitute the majority of the economy. My point being is that there is a significant socialist sector within China. He sees these. They have different political systems from our own. They see political systems that actually care about their people, political systems that are completely free of the corrupting influence of money and free of the grip of Western corporations. And he sees that and he doesn't like it because, again, he identifies with those Western corporations and he identifies with Western imperialist hegemony. Like, he's a Kool-Aid drinker, dude. He's sold on the message. That's the reason why he doesn't like it. And that's why he identifies with the poor, itty-bitty Hong Kong protesters or the Cuban protesters over the Cuban government or the Chinese government over the United States, which has been ruthlessly suppressing the ever-living fuck out of socialism for the last 100 years since World War II.
the Cuban people have a right to protest their government if they feel their government is failing them. That's a very basic democratic and
Go fuck yourself. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
Me? No. Go ahead.
I don't have anything left to say, because
socialist principle, because
Yeah.
socialism is fundamentally democratic, if they're actually doing socialism. But what this guy is hearing is Vaush is defending the implementation of
yeah, bullshit. Fuck you. The Cuba is a plenty democratic country. Same with North Korea. Same with China. These countries have democracy. It's a fact. It's a Soviet-type democracy. Cuba, in fact, has a direct democracy where people have the option to choose on ballot initiatives pertaining to issues within their local and regional economy. So go fuck yourself. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Seriously.
American-style bourgeois democracy on Cuba. Because he's saying he's pro-protest, he's imposing his beliefs about American democracy prescriptively onto Cuba. Now, let me explain why it's wrong to believe that. Now, obviously, I didn't say that. That's retarded. But, he's going to go on about that as well. Yeah, let's skip ahead a little bit. It's
Dude, let me tell you something right now.
Haven't you mostly praised
One
Cuba?
moment.
Yeah.
If Cuba really was like a Western-style liberal democracy, he wouldn't have a fucking problem with it at all. How much you want to bet Vaush would have a problem with Cuba if it was like a liberal presidential system like the United States? Do you think he'd have a problem with it?
No, of course not.
No, not at all. Like that
Because
that's
it has multiple parties. Like,
like seriously, if fucking Vaush had if Cuba was a liberal democracy akin to that of the United States or Western Europe, I'm telling you right now, he would have no problem with it whatsoever. He's only complaining about it because he thinks their system is authoritarian or whatever. And I don't know what else to say, man. My patience for this is running very thin. How much longer do you want to go? Because like we're just gonna get more of the same bullshit for the next 45 minutes.
yeah, I feel like the stuff that really destroys him is in the latter half of the video. But if you're running out of steam, like we can dip.
Yeah,
I
want to reschedule this. I honestly I need a break. I'm done. I've had my fill of the sophistry and just like the deflection, and the guy is just a dirtbag, man. I really don't know what else to say. I feel like I've said everything I have to say because I just feel like if we go through all this, I'm going to be pointing out the same shit. I'm going to be pointing out the same distortions and deflections because that's all he has. That's all he does. He can't deal with any of your criticisms or anything that you have to say.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's up to you. We can go for a little longer with you if you want, but unironically, I'm just done. I'm tired.
Yeah, I get it as someone who has, watched a lot of this guy's stuff. I get it. If you're done, we could reschedule, or not,
Yeah.
Um,
See, that's what we're getting. We're gonna get a part 2 during the day this time when you're not sleepy.
yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any closing thoughts with respect to, I know I've probably done about solid 65, 70% of the talking, but do you have any closing thoughts?
I am frankly really want to see the second half because that I think is where the video just completely embarrasses him. As of now, I don't really have any more thoughts, but I would like to continue this if possible,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, no, we'll continue it. We'll continue it when it's not, I don't know, 1 in the morning Eastern time. We'll probably get more people tuning in just by virtue of it actually being during the fucking day. And
Yeah.
because little life thing happened recently, forklift accident. It's not that big of a deal. I got in a forklift accident today, so I'm going to be off of work for the next few days. So we'll be able to schedule it again, say, I don't know, day after tomorrow. Day after. Probably, I think day after would be best for me. It's up to you. But
Day after works, for
Yeah.
sure.
And we can do this again. Sorry, I'm not trying to hog all the mic time. You're free to speak as you feel fit. But you have to understand, I've dealt with this. I've made several videos about this guy. I've done multiple live streams. I've talked mad amounts of shit. The thing is like his prime demographic, and I get that people like watching me react to him, and people like hearing my input because I'm validating their feelings and the way they feel as well. And I mean, it's all fun and dandy, but I nowadays I just have better things to be doing with my time because I'm training to be a mixed martial artist. So you know how you're getting your master's, right? You're in school, like getting your master's. What is your degree in? Just curious.
Well, yeah, I got my master's.
Oh,
I'd rather not
congratulations.
disclose it for privacy reasons, but
Yeah,
no, I have it.
you don't have to share it if you do not feel that is necessary. But I am very happy that you are taking extensive time producing the videos you are, because it is very important that these types of videos get out there. The more the merrier, you know. But part of the reason why I haven't been doing it as much as anymore is just because I've been training. I mean, aside from working 40 hours a week, I've been training in MMA. Like, I've been basically training like a madman in mixed martial arts, and that's probably why my community posts have been more violent lately. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna stop doing it because I know a lot of people are getting tired of it, and they don't like seeing that. You know, the whole toxic masculinity vibe, and I don't know. I don't want to turn off my subscribers. Plus, like, it is kind of like immature and toxic for me to basically talking about, you know, stomping people's lights out as fun as it is for me to fantasize about. That's why I deleted that community post the other day, because I decided that it's not good to make posts like that because people will get the wrong idea, and because I made that post out of anger, out of frustration, because I saw Bad Empanada's fucking video about Vaush being a serial sexual harasser, and it just made me so aggravated, like how a scumbag like this can make millions of dollars doing what he does when there are other people out there that are so much more deserving of that kind of money and attention.
Yeah, for sure.
Like seriously.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
so
rough, man.
aggravating.
Yeah, I mean, that's what really drives me is like, I think you said this in another video. It's like, it's not just like that he's an idiot or a bad person, which he is both of those things, but also that he is so successful. I mean, like, he is one of the biggest political influencers in America, you know?
At least
and
online.
Online is what I mean. Yeah, online political influencer. And that, again, just goes back to why it's worth hitting back at him again, is that you cannot wish away this person. You cannot just like, you know, close your eyes and make a wish and then Vaush will be gone. No, he will always be there. And obviously that doesn't have to be your focus. That doesn't have to be, you know, what you do in your life. But there is a responsibility to address this person and hit back at him rather than just ignoring him. So yeah, that's what this video was meant to do. And it is sad too, because there is the incentive to make videos about him, in that, you know, that's what gets clicks, that's what gets views and engagement. Whereas other videos do not get the same amount of engagement. But beyond that incentive of looks, there is, I think, just a genuine moral, not a duty, but, you know, there is some necessity for at least some people on the left to address him, like me and you and Bad Empanada have done. Maybe not everyone. That shouldn't be everyone's content or the focus of their content, but it should be a focus of some people. Some people should be fighting these battles.
It's definitely worth it, and there's definitely value in it because it just pulls people out of that sphere. At least intelligent people like you. I think the video you made was very well thought out and very well done. I think your points were very poignant. They were on the table. The only possible way anybody could walk away from that thinking that, you know, Vaush was the right, is if they're literally a sycophant of his. Like, I think any reasonable, rational person, even a reasonable, rational person that's like sympathetic or a fan of his that comes by and watches that is going to see that. And, you know, if they really are like on the more rational side, they're going to realize like how full of shit he really is. So I think that there's definitely value in it. But like I said, I've done it on and off for years. I just don't care about this stuff anymore. I would rather make video essays talking about other charlatans, talking about other people, and just I've got a lot of complex subjects. I want to go back to my roots and talking more about socialist history. I want to talk about the conflict between Russia and China during the Sino-Soviet split. Like, I've had that in the works for a while.
Oh, that sounds really interesting.
I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it briefly, but what I want to really get into that and really dive into the history of North Korea. Dude, let me tell you something. The only limit is your imagination. The further you go into this, the further you read about socialism, the more full of shit you realize the Western narrative actually is.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Like,
it's basically like it's like a pipeline, you know. It's like, I feel like the beginning of the pipeline for a lot of people is like the CIA's coups. You know what I mean? Like that for me was like the beginning of the pipeline, like the CIA learning what they did in Latin America, learning how many governments they ruthlessly like destroyed, and then that was sort of just like this downward slide into more and more, you know, learning just more and more. It's like a rabbit hole. Because then I like learned about Cuba, and I learned about Che and Fidel, who growing up were both demonized and relentless to me because I lived in a Gasano area. So that was just like my culture growing up, was like these people were horrible, like monsters, you know. And then when I learned that that was like completely fucking bullshit, like just completely wrong, at that point my mind was like, okay, well, you know, let's see what else there is to learn. But yeah, I agree. Socialist history is so fun to learn about and make videos about. I've been really on the USSR kick lately, learning as much as I can, learning a ton.
I don't know if you saw my comments, but in regards to the Aral Sea, 90% of that water did not go missing under the Soviet Union. That water went missing under the Russian Federation, because the Soviets actually rerouted a river. Like, they set up a pipe and they ran water from a local river back to the Aral Sea, and they were filling that motherfucker up to keep it from completely draining dry. And it didn't truly drain dry until the 90s, when the Russian Federation just stopped funding money to maintaining or keeping that pipe system. So they just drank the entire ravine dry. The vast majority of that water went missing under capitalist Russia. I just thought you should know that.
Good to know, because, you know, if I'm not going to do a deep dive, you know, Wikipedia is the thing you go to sometimes, and Wikipedia portrayed it in a different way.
There's nothing
so
wrong.
I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Wikipedia is fine, but for the USSR type shit, I should not have just.
Well, there's nothing wrong with going to Wikipedia as a start, but you always want to delve deeper. You always want to delve deeper and dig deep in the history books. If you want a list of historians, a list of history books that I don't have the attention span to read, I can send you some stuff. I think a good book that I think you would really like is The Triumph of Evil by Austin Murphy. That's probably my favorite. I think that's even better than Black Shirts and Reds, because The Triumph of Evil is the best. Yeah, even better than Black Shirts and Reds. It's a harder read, but it is an objectively better book. And I say this as a big fan of Parenti.
Yeah, Black Shirts and Reds was the book that I really needed to read. Like, I had a lot of thoughts similar to Parenti at that point, like, but I hadn't had them affirmed, you know, like in a book or somewhere I'd read. And then I read the book and I was like, wow. But that's cool. But socialist history is really fun. I'm also working on a video about the history of socialist parties in the United States. Not like a deep dive, like 2-hour long video, but like a just a brief overview. But it gets enough into the details where it's interesting, but not like where it's like, you know, super long. So that's been fun too.
That's good. I'm glad you're producing it. I'm not too familiar with socialist history in the United States, admittedly. I know that the Communist Party in the 30s basically went full opportunist. You had the Browderist line, where they aligned with like the Democrats, and I think that was a colossal mistake. The Panthers were strangled in the crib. There were moments, but it's very difficult to construct a revolutionary movement in a country where the entire working class has been bought off with land. That's really been it. Like, when you get down to it, the reason why there hasn't been a revolution in America has primarily been because the ruling class has just bribed American workers with land. It really comes down to that, unironically. And you're starting to see revolutionary fervor emerge again. Why? Because people can't buy land. They can't buy houses. They're all renting shit now. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. The history of socialism in the U.S. has just been like pain and failure. That's been my impression.
It hasn't been a total failure because they have gotten shit done. Like I
Well,
sincerely,
yeah. The CPUSA was very radical to some extent back in the day, and before that, the Socialist Workers' Party of America, they were like the like radical, like they were the groups that actually got change done in America.
yeah,
Where it was first the Socialist Workers' Party, and then that became infested with moderates when the October Revolution occurred or whatever, and then the CPUSA split from them, and then they were the more radical party that supported Lenin and supported the October Revolution, and then they were really integral in a lot of fighting for workers' rights, fighting for unions. They were the first racially integrated party in America. They did all of this cool stuff, and of course, you would never learn about any of this. Like none of this I knew. Yeah, they also even advocated for the Black Belt Republic. Like they advocated for like self-determination for African Americans, and like the creation of their own nation state, like in the South, which was interesting.
yeah, that's something I didn't even know about. I knew they were very progressive. I mean, honestly, the notion of non-segregated unions is always very progressive. I forget the name of the candidate, but there was a guy who I think it was like in the early 1910s who got like 9 million American votes, who was a socialist, prominent socialist. I don't remember his name.
Eugene Debs, yeah.
But like 9 million votes towards the socialists at a time when the country's population was 30% of what it is now.
Yeah.
That is incredible to me.
Yeah.
And it makes me think that could actually unironically happen again. Like we could see those types of material gains, but it would basically require a very conscious, deliberate decision on the part of the public on a scale that has not been seen in a very long time.
Yeah.
And I believe it can be done. You have to have faith in people in order to be like an actual socialist. Like
Yeah. It's actually really enlightening when you read about the history of socialism, because it's so similar to the same divisions now. But yeah, socialism was at its height around that time, 1910 till around like 1917 or 16, under Eugene Debs. And then of course it's a crazy story when you actually learn about like what happened with like, so apparently the more radical like Bolshevik leaning people in the Socialist Workers Party won like election to this they won this like big election, and they were going to be in control. And then the more moderates, they basically accused everyone of fraud. They kicked out like all of the Eastern European branches of the party. They kicked out everyone. And of course so basically that was like the split that permanently like really destroyed socialist politics in America, was like the more moderates being like, no, actually we're going to randomly accuse you of fraud, and we're not going to let you actually with no real evidence, and then we're not going to let you actually be in charge. So
yeah, if
good
you
stuff.
if you go through the entirety of Lenin's works, and not just Lenin's but many prominent Marxists, one common theme you'll find is it really has been like the moderates, like the Kautskys and the Bernsteins and the Vaushes,
Yeah.
people like that. It really has been these so-called principled pure leftists, these anti-authoritarians, or these social imperialists. It really has been these people that have been the most problematic trend for the left when you really get down to the brass tacks. And that if you let these people have things their way, the movement will be trapped within pitfalls that have been holding it back for literally hundreds of years. And it hasn't been the right wing. It really hasn't been the right wing, that like conservatives that have really been like the number one threat to communism. It's been liberals, it's been moderate leftists, people that don't want to go all the way because they've got too many right-wing brainworms. It's wolf in sheep's clothing. It's co-opting. So it doesn't surprise me. It's it was an ongoing problem then, and it's a problem now. And hence why, like, I guess live streams like this are so important to help people realize this. But otherwise, no, it's good to hear that, like, you're very fascinated with the history. Hopefully you produce some stuff like pertaining to American history, because a lot of what you're talking about are things that I didn't even know.
Yeah, no, nobody knows. It's the history of American socialist politics is not talked about. And I think a big reason is that it's just really embarrassing for anyone who isn't far left. It's just really embarrassing when you look at how the people who were actually causing change were always the most radical, the most left wing, the most, the radical branches were the people that were actually advocating for change. So I think that it's just the whole history has really been heavily repressed and just isn't talked about or discussed. But there's a lot of inspiring moments and a lot of sad moments, but it's very interesting and very worth delving into, which is what my video is going to aim to do.
Do you have any like literature to pitch, like any books that would be good for people, like resources handy that the audience might look into?
Okay, let me go. It should be right here. So there's a link. This article by the CPUSA is very good. I'll post that.
Okay.
There's also a book called The Socialist Party of America: A Complete History. It gives a lot of good overview and stuff, but I wouldn't really recommend that book. It's really weird. It's written from the perspective of basically the moderate socialist. It's written in very much a way that constantly demonizes the more radical leftist side. That constantly demonizes, the radicals. But so you can read it, but you'd have to do it with like a grain of salt. So I can put that in chat. And then there's another book called The Rising Tide of Socialism, Socialist Party of America. I haven't read that. I don't know if I'm going to fully read the book, but there just isn't much literature is the thing. Like, I think The Rising Tide of Socialism, that was written in 1911, and The Socialist Party of America: A Complete History was written in like fucking, I don't know, a while ago. So there just isn't all that much literature. I have been relying somewhat on Wikipedia, over 10 different Wikipedia pages reading. But yeah.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, you can use Wikipedia to an extent, but when it comes down to, say, I want to say a solid 85% of your footnotes, more like 90% of your footnotes, it should always come from like actual like books written by actual historians. That's always like, when you get down to the brass tacks, that's really where you want to derive a great deal of your sources from, is like primary documentation, anecdotes on the ground, people who lived it and experienced it. The reason why I say so confidently that there was 100% democracy in like the Soviet Union, and it was in fact better in every way, shape, and form than our current democratic process, that better than it ever has been, better than it ever could be until the dawn of time. The reason why I can say this with such iron, titanium-clad confidence is because of a writing by Pat Sloan and Anne Louise Strong, where they talk about it. They have both written about Soviet democracy, about how meetings could be called at any time, where you could complain or voice your grievances about your work environment, how you could elect, recall, criticize, fire your own management, how on a pretty routine basis, once every year, every other year, an all unions council was called, where all of the Soviets and all the major Soviets and organs of power and all the land come together to draft one grand massive plan and decide how shit gets done. I'm not allowed to do that under the current system. What I get to vote every 4 fucking years? I may or may not be able to choose who can make the important decisions up top, but I can't decide who has the right to rule over me within my workplace, my manager, who is going to be way more influential in my personal life than the president is. Just saying. Like, so go with primary documentation, historians, firsthand accounts. That's really what you're looking for. All of this is firsthand accounts. I actually think Lefty Poll is unironically a great resource for finding works cited. Like, you can ask people there and they will send you PDFs. You can literally just make posts on Lefty Poll. People will send you lots of shit and you can just go through. I'm not even kidding. I'm not going to lie when I say a vast majority, a huge chunk of the resources that I have amassed in my personal library have come straight from Lefty Poll and the Marxist Internet Archive.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never heard of that, but I will check that out. I'm actually working on assembling a it's like a collection of pre-Khrushchev histories of the USSR, like positive and negative. Like, I'm trying to assemble, like, not necessarily PDFs or documents of every work, but just like cataloging like all of these works written about these times, and like cataloging whether it's like the original generation or the revisionist generation or the post-revisionist generation, which are like the various perspectives, you know, of how the USSR functioned. So that's interesting. I can even share that with you if you'd like.
Yeah.
But
do you
another great. Sorry.
Do you have a Discord?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, I haven't been linking my Discord lately because there was a threat of a cyber attack. So I've kind of barred off new entries until further notice. But I'll send you a link through email after this is done.
Okay.
We can exchange like PDFs and so on if you'd like. But
yeah.
What's up?
Oh, I was just going to say another great work is Robert Thurston, in terms of Soviet democracy, is Robert Thurston's work, reassessing the history of Soviet workers, opportunities to criticize and participate in decision making. That is like one of the most banger things I've ever read. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah, it is, because he says Robert Conquest is full of shit. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't directly say it, but he says that Robert Conquest. Like, I just love it. I love that people know that this guy is full of shit. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, it's funny because a lot of historians, you can't really get a book published about anything pertaining to communism without flaunting your anti-communist credentials. So whenever you read any modern historians on the subject, their first couple of paragraphs are going to be about, I'm against authoritarianism.
Oh, yeah.
And if you like authoritarianism, you're bad. And then the rest of the book is literally like straight spitting bars the entire fucking time.
It's very funny. It's like, especially when you have specialist histories of the USSR where they like delve in deep into something, they'll be like, the USSR was really bad, but on this thing they were actually not that bad. And that's like what it'll be like throughout the work. It'll be like, yeah, the USSR was very authoritarian and bad, but actually this thing they did really well. And you have a bunch of books like this. So when you put them all together, it's very funny because you get the more general histories by the popular authors. And of course, their work is just terrible because they don't actually delve into anything, right? Because there's so much history to delve into. So they just have like the surface level, propaganda narratives that they go over. But then when you have these specialized histories where they can actually delve deep into the topic, things are always far more nuanced because, of course they are.
Well, that is normally how it goes with the history. It's always more complicated when you take a deeper look. And I guess that's part of the reason why when it comes to like being a communist, that's why there's a higher barrier to entry, because people don't understand at first. But the good news is that things are changing, because I talk to people at my job all the time, and socialism is not a hard sell. Like, when you talk to people that are truly working class, socialism is not a hard sell. It's just a lot of people are too afraid to make a stand. A lot of people are too afraid to do anything about it. Too afraid and they don't know what to do. And I guess it's mainly our job to figure out how we're going to get about organizing people within this day and age, because we are living in a very antisocial day and age. I think in some ways it's easier, but in some ways it's harder than ever before, just because like the movement very much is dead, and we are trying to build everything back up from nothing. But the good news is that we have centuries of history behind us of good theory and practice, and that we can look back on that. And we also have like a number of things working in our favor, I think. Main thing being, for the first time in a long time, it is starting to become within the vested interests of first world workers to actually rebel against their own governments again, because they're not being bribed with land anymore. Remember what I was saying earlier about them being bribed with land? That's slowly going away. Like, the bribes are going away. The jobs aren't coming back. So people are going to be looking for alternatives. But the other thing is, like, I think a movement here in the... Are you American? Are you Canadian?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I'm American, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were Canadian or not, but I think a movement is going to coalesce. Give it another decade. Give it another 8 to 10 years. A movement is going to start to coalesce. Some sort of coalition is going to start to come together. Like, in the grand scheme of things, people like Vaush, don't worry too much about them, because they're not the ones that are really going to win in the end. It's going to be people like us. So, and our ideas are winning. Want to know why? Want to know proof that I have? 2 words. Second thought. The fact that this guy's got millions of subscribers and he shits all over the analytics of people like Vaush is all the evidence I need. Like, it's our beliefs are in demand. Like, what we have to sell is in demand. We just have to reach people through the right avenues. And it's just tough because we don't have the infrastructure to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the one caveat I'd say about Second Thought is that he got a lot of his subs and a lot of his following when he didn't make political content, like when he just made like dumb scientific shit or whatever, just the typical, whatever channel. But yeah, then he took a turn to become like, but he deserves every sub he has. I mean, everything he does, he's so intelligent, he's so well spoken. I'm very glad, that someone like that with such influence has taken the turn he has and is doing what he's doing and getting the views he gets. You're right. Like, it's awesome.
It is. But I am going to, I think I am going to kill the stream just because I do have to be up tomorrow morning. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this solid half hour. This has been chemo. The first hour of this stream has been cancer, but this last 30 minutes has been chemo. I'm not going to lie. I am getting tired. But no, I'm glad to have had you on. Everyone subscribe to Chemical Mind now.
Yeah.
Subscribe
the link in the description is broken, so I'm just gonna post it in the chat.
Yeah, post it in the chat. I promise I will fix that. But nah, you're more than deserving of the attention. You make great content, so that's why I'm bringing you on. We are gonna have a part 2, but I'm going to need a lot more than like 2 beers in order to stomach an additional 3 hours of Vaush. Like, seriously.
Oh my god, yeah. 1.5 speed next time, maybe.
Yeah, we'll do 1.5 times speed because, oh god. But yeah, no, but welcome aboard. Welcome to the club, comrade. I'm glad you're with us now. You are an asset. You are an asset. You are an asset. And you all have a wonderful night. I am going to kill the stream now.